All right, y'all. Today we're taking a look at this boudoir photography business. We're gonna check its local and city searches and see if they got BSS for any of them. And we're back here in the GBC universe where we're taking declining boudoir photographers to the number one boudoir photographer in their city. As always, our North Star is FSIC, aka full spectrum intent capture. If you want more info on that, yeah, somewhere pin post, pin video on the profile. And it's our North Star because FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. Those that are rising, they're probably bringing in peeps from the entire intent ladder, the intent spectrum. High intent here on the left to low intent way over on the right. Here we talk about the highest intent peeps, Google search, social media search, searching right now for a boudoir photo shoot in our city. That's where we talk about BSS. All the way at the other end, those are interruption ads like Facebook, Instagram. It's our other brand, Boudoir FB Ad Doctor, where we talk about BLCS. And right now over there, we're only working with boudoir photographers spending more than 10 grand a month on boudoir Facebook ads. So we're focusing on the two intent extremes right now. So here we're talking about BSS, which is boudoir search sameness. As when a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. 0 slots means if we're not on page 1, we basically don't exist. We're on page 2 or deeper. And we already know that approximately 80% of Google searches never go past page 1. So that's the bulk of the market, that's most of the market. And if they have zeros, basically if we're in 0 slots on page 1, we're basically invisible and we're going downhill pretty fast. 1 slot on page 1, Google is not good enough either, because every other boudoir photographer on there is also going to have most likely 1 slot. So, if there's 10 organic slots per Google, search page, the a buyer is just going to be clicking on everyone's website, contacting everyone, price shopping us against literally everyone, and as a result, we're actually going to, we're actually going to not stand out, be price shopped. People probably go to the lowest bid, all things like that. So boudoir search sameness, no bueno. We also know that 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google is not normal. Yeah, it's not normal to have such few number of slots for ourselves on page 1 of Google. Extremely common, but not normal. This is actually the symptom of 2 deeper root causes. There's 2 deeper root causes. One, basically everyone knows about, market saturation, and another one, basically nobody knows about, the false belief of page 1 equality. So first, market saturation, that's someone getting a new iPhone, then they're throwing up their Google My Business profile saying they shoot boudoir. Now they got a website saying they shoot boudoir, saturating the market. Or someone gets a new camera, now they're posting the mom groups saying that for boudoir photo shoots. So it's more sellers to the same number of buyers, driving down the price for everyone. And usually this results in other boudoir photographers kind of getting kicked out of the market, going bankrupt, closing down shop. Now, basically everyone knows that, and also a big thing that happened with that was COVID. A lot of people lost their jobs, still to earn money, became boudoir photographers because everyone's got a great camera on their phone, on their cell phone. And so that was another, supply shock, seller shock. Way more sellers to the same number of buyers. It was when COVID happened. Now the not currently very known false belief of page 1 equality. That belief is that kind of every boudoir photographer gets, 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. And, maybe we had our website ranked on page 1 of Google, but then more boudoir photographers came in, kicked us down to page 2, and like, oh, that's simply that's simply how it is. Kind of just we simply gotta take what Google gives us. Hopefully that other person closes down and deletes their website so Google can maybe pull us back onto page 1. But it's kind of out of our hands. That's the belief of page 1 equality, whereas every boudoir photographer gets either 0 or 1 slots on page 1, and that's simply how it is. But that's a false belief. I know that's a false belief because I went from 0 out of 10 slots on Google page 1 search to 9 out of 10 slots Google page 1 search in 10 days. Why? Because I knew page 1 equality is a false belief, And my hypothesis was Google would give me as many slots as I want, page one slots as I wanted to put in the effort to acquire for whichever keywords I want to put in the effort to acquire them from. So that's exactly what I did, which we'll see those results in, whatever, 2 or 3 more pictures. So page one equality, false belief. We also know that boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness, so having either 0 or 1 slots page one of Google, is a disappearing boudoir photographer. Because look, if you got 0 slots on page one, we already know approximately 80% of Google searches do not go past page one. So we're invisible to 80% of the marketplace. So yeah, we're definitely disappearing. For 1 slot on page one, we're looking the same as everyone else. We're price shopped to death. We're disappearing as well. And this is kind of the canary in the coal mine, where BSS causes disappearing boudoir photographers, and basically all disappearing boudoir photographers also have BSS, what kind of is foreshadowing for the eventual disappearance of the entire boudoir photography business. So this is the canary in the coal mine. So we got to solve first. We got to stop the bleeding here. And luckily we have a solution, because we now have learned through extensive testing that BSS is treated with social search saturation. This is our S-cubed methodology. We invented it. You cannot get this solution from anybody else. And social search saturation is exactly what it says. We saturate social search, or the highest intent search terms, to show up there and kick everyone else out. These are kind of like, the smaller rivers that feed into the Amazon. And kind of when we do that successfully, that flows down into the Amazon, flows into Google. And many times Google will start giving us more and more page one slots for those more and more keywords we're ranking for in social search. That's why it's called social search saturation S-cubed methodology. We want to be saturating social search at all times, because if we're not, someone else in our city probably is. If nobody is, then we got the first mover advantage to do it. So S-cubed methodology, the magical thing about this is the only thing I've ever seen for boudoir photographers that can successfully fight against market saturation and essentially render it, null and void. Because imagine we're in Miami, Florida. Let's say there's 1 million boudoir photographers. Everyone's got a website for their boudoir photography business. They're ranking it. They're competing for page one Google search. But let's say we take S-cubed methodology to the max. We rank for the first, 300 slots for the highest intent search terms for boudoir in our city across all the major social media platforms. So we saturate social search. We're there. Can't find anyone until slot 301 and after. As a result, we're saturating the first 300 slots on Google as well. Well, each page on Google is 10 organic slots, and so that's 30 pages. You got to go page. Basically, any buyer's got to go page 31 to find any of our 999,999 competitors, because we cranked S-cubed methodology up to the maximum. So, whose business is growing? Ours. Whose business is growing the fastest in the city? Ours, because buyers can essentially really only find us, because we're everywhere they look. Basically, we're gonna kick out, box out all the other competitors, and we already know, approximately 80% of Google searches never go past page one, so they definitely ain't going to page 31. So this is what S-cubed methodology enables us to do for all those who want to put in the effort to achieve it. Now, once you're with S-cubed methodology, we have page one visibility. We're finally visible on page one, even though if we had 1 slot there, we're not actually visible there because we look the same as everyone else. We get an added bonus of this where we're kicking competing boudoir photographers off page one, effectively making them invisible. They get kicked out to page 2 or deeper. And again, we know approximately 80% of boudoir photographers, or approximately 80% of Google searches never go to page 2. They're page 1 only searches, which means page 2 and deeper is invisible, disappearing boudoir photographer, canary in the coal mine. Eventually, the boudoir photography business will disappear. So we achieve page 1 visibility once we overcome market saturation and page 1. We crash through the false belief of page 1 equality. And page 1 visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us. So here we want to hit the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots on page 1 for local search and city search. Because when we're at 3 out of 10 slots, I mean, we've kicked off at least 2 to 3 other competitors from page 1. Also, compared to everyone that has 1 slot on page 1, we got 3. People are going to say, wow, why is Google recommending this person so much? They're going to auto trust us more. And the very rare chance someone else has 2 slots on page 1, well, we're at 3, and so we're always beating them. So it activates Boudoir search visibility for us. And a boudoir photographer with BSV is a visible boudoir photographer, a VBP. This is our micro universe here. We got disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness caused by market saturation and page 1 equality. We now have a solution now, S-cubed methodology. And as a result, we achieve page 1 visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility. Now onto my results I got using this. So I was using this, I want to rank for the term BLCS boudoir. And I use S-cube methodology. That's exactly what I did. And what I actually did was, here, organic, we started spot 1. We got organic slot 1. We got organic 2. We got organic. So slot 3, me. Slot 4, me. Slot 5, me. Slot 6, me. Slot 7, me. Slot 8, me. And slot 10 is me. So I went from 0 out of 10 slots on page 1 to 9 out of 10 slots on page 1 in 10 days. And this is through utilizing S-cubed methodology that we invented, that cannot get this from anyone else. We invented it, we created it. And so this is the power of S-cubed methodology. All right, now main event here, we're going to check this boudoir photography business. We're going to check out its local search and its city search. See if they got BSS for either local or their city search, and also see if they're hitting the GBC recommended minimums, 3 out of 10 slots for each. So we're going to Hampton, Virginia, and Newport News, Virginia. All right, let's head over there now. Hampton, Virginia, it's no data. All right, so let's see what we got. Go to organic. So boom, we got one. Let's see what else. Let's see. All right, so we got one. So we got 1 out of 10 for local. Yeah. All right, so 1 out of 10 for local. And now let's check city. Let's see. And 1 out of 10 for city. All right, so for both. All right, so we got 1 out of 10 for both. And so that means we got BSS for both of them. And we're not hitting the GBC recommended minimum. 3 out of 10 slots, page 1 Google search for either of them. So if you're a boudoir photographer, disappearing boudoir photographer, you've got boudoir search sameness. You're seeing market saturation coming up. It's going to become more and more saturated. You know that page 1 equality is a false belief. You kind of didn't think about it before, but now you're like, yeah, dude, why is everyone, why is no one trying to take more slots page 1? And you're seeing with the way AI is going, there's going to be taking more people's jobs, pushing more people to become boudoir photographers. On top of when they get a new iPhone, they're a new boudoir photographer, or if they get a new camera, they're a new boudoir photographer. And so you're seeing the last time a lot of people lost their jobs was COVID, and a whole deluge of boudoir photographers came into the market. So you're saying, all right, that's probably going to happen again, and you want to get prepared. And you're seeing that there's also back-end benefits of this S-cubed methodology that we haven't talked about yet, but you're seeing, hey, this S-cubed methodology, you want to use this, you want to keep rolling with it, because it can fight back against market saturation faster than any other solution. The only other thing would be, building a brand, but that takes years. And you realize, and the other things on the back end of this is, if you got all these kind of bundles of keywords under your business, your brand that you're ranking for, that's a higher chance you show up in the AI search overview, when you rank for all these keywords using the SQ'd methodology, and higher chance you rank for AI search as a backend benefit. You know, ChatGPT search, whatever, Claude search, Perplexity search, Microsoft Copilot search, Google Gemini search, because they look for kind of bundles of keywords around a business, themes, thematic columns. And so you're like, man, I was able to get page one on Google and page one on all these search, you know, social search, and kind of get the back end benefits of higher probability of AI over me being, being the only one AI overview or being included in AI search. Where the last time I used AI search to search for a boudoir photographer in a city, it gave me 3. Those were ChatGPT. It gave me 3. So higher chance you become one of the 3 by having all these the highest intent keywords focused, kind of thematically bundled as like pillars underneath your brand name. And you're also noticing that if some other boudoir photographer goes first to start using this in your area, then, well, you can't work with me anymore. So you'd have to figure it all out yourself and then equal them in work to maintain so they don't take over page one, or, most likely need to double them in work to actually make progress at getting more slots on page one that they were taking. So if you decide, okay, it's better just be the first goer and solidify your position, get the highest chance of basically being market saturation proof, busting that false belief of page one inequality, then shoot me a DM when my DM's open. My DMs are closed right now. New patient intake at the hospital is currently closed. But when we do open up for a new patient intake, shoot me a DM, we'll see if you qualify, and I'll have some questions for you.